Welcome to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast, where each week we speak with brands, icons, innovators, and trailblazers within the fly fishing industry, exploring both the successes and failures they've encountered along the way to become who they are today. But first, if you have not yet subscribed to the podcast or joined our email list, please do so by going to the flyfisherinsiderpodcast.com, or you can also find us on Instagram at flyfisherinsiderpodcast. Now let's begin. Today's guests are David Moore and Brian Gunrngerich, the founders and owners of Rent This Rod Company. Both David and Brian are longtime fly fishing buddies who one day decided to start down the entrepreneurial path within the fly fishing industry and came up with the idea of renting out high-end premium fly rods. Rent This Rod has been in business for over a year now. It's quickly become the nation's #1 source for high-end luxury fly rod rentals sent right to your front doorstep. Rent This Rod ships worldwide, allowing you to enjoy a high-end rod without the high-end price tag, even if it's just for that weekend getaway. Rent This Rod is quickly becoming a great alternative for many anglers. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hey Greg.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing good. I want to thank you guys for getting together, both of you at the same time. I know we've had some challenges to try and line it up, but definitely thanks for coming to the show. Can you tell us a bit about your business and what you guys do?
Yeah. Business is called Rent This Rod, and we specialize in renting more premium or high-end fly rods and reels to customers nationwide. And we focus on quality tier that's not normally available or seen on in rental markets.
When you say nationwide, like are you just talking North America?
Yeah, North America for now. I mean, we could ship anywhere, but the majority of our rentals in the past have been North America, or shipping to clients who reside within North America who then, travel to destinations outside of the country.
So like what made you guys get together and say, hey, let's start this company? Because no one's doing it, right? It's a great concept. So what made you guys get together and want to do this?
Well, we've been fly fishing buddies for quite a while now, and we were on the river one day, and I was getting ready to go on a trip to Florida, and I was like, man, I really want to ocean fly fish. I'd love to do it, but I don't want to spend, I want something nice, and I don't want to spend $1,000 or $1,200 on a new setup just to fish for a week. Wouldn't it be cool if you could rent something? And it started a conversation between Dave and I, and lo and behold, Dave goes home and he's like, hey, I built a website. Check it out. And we started this conversation, and it was like, actually, you know what? I think this concept could really work. And, kind of the rest is history. We started calling people, building a business plan, and here we are. So.
Well, I love it. It's kind of coming together and you just make things happen. So, but you know what I want you guys to do is walk us through your business, like the model of your business and what happens, like how do I go about renting a rod? Walk me through that.
So most people will come to hear of us either via our website or social media pages, and regardless, they should get funneled into the website. And so our website lists all of our inventory, the brands we carry, and kind of describes the process. But right now, if somebody was interested in renting a rod or a reel or an entire package, they would send us an inquiry email through our website, and we would kind of send them a personal reply and get them set up that way. And so the website itself is not automated to the point where people could do it all themselves now, but we still are able to offer that kind of a personal touch and almost outfitting each individual personally
based on their needs or whatnot, right? Which actually has quite a nice touch to it. If you think about it, it just, it gets that customer and whatnot on a new level, right? You guys reach out and figure it out. And I'm sure you make more friends that way. I think the big question everyone's also wondering is what happens if you break a rod or if I lose my rod when I'm fishing?
Well, you owe us about $3,000. Dave, you can go ahead and take that.
Yeah. Fly rods break, whether it's a $50 rod or a $1,000 rod, it doesn't matter. But we do have a damage policy in place where if a client breaks a rod, it's a flat $100 fee, which covers our cost of repair and accounts for the rod being offline and out of our inventory for weeks on end. So I think it's reasonable. If you broke a rod that you owned, you'd be looking to pay about that much anyway. So it's fair and reasonable.
Yeah, it's like insurance, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's exactly it. Can we, if we say I'm on a trip, I love this rod, it's doing good. I've caught, world record fish on there. Can I buy the rod from you guys?
Yeah, so with one of the brands, specifically Thomas and Thomas, what we do is we refer people back to the company to purchase a rod, and so we'll go through them, and we're kind of working on some details with that specifically. And then with our clutch fly rods, we do have the ability, if somebody really likes it and wants it and wants to keep it, then we can work out and negotiate and sell them that rod as well. So right now, with Thomas and Thomas, one of the agreements that we had in place with them is we want to give them business and refer business back to them when we can, and we want to be complementary to fly shops and to fly companies, and our goal in this is really to support the industry and increase people's access to fly fishing and to support the brands that we have, and so we're going to do that in any way that works for them.
It's funny that you mentioned that you want to support fly shops and whatnot, because that was a question I did want to ask you guys: is how are the fly shops receiving the feedback of what you guys are doing in that area? Are they feeling like you're taking away from sales, and how is the consumer feel about your service as well? Because now I don't have to spend $2,100 on a fly rod setup to go saltwater flats fishing when I only go twice a year. So what is the receivership on that from you guys? From the feedback?
Well, first, the first one that I can answer on, and then Dave, I'll let you kind of take the other side of it. But we work with our local fly shop has started to refer people to us because they don't actually like to rent gear because of the breaking and all of that kind of stuff. And so they've actually started to work with us and refer people to us. We also have a model that could work, and we're working on finalizing that, where we can come in and help. We can rent gear through us, refer people back to the fly shop. They can go buy leaders and flies and everything else that they would need to outfit. We can refer people back to the fly shop for that stuff. But then also, if we start doing a rental or come in with a booth or something along those lines, we can kind of do some revenue sharing in that space too. And then they don't have to worry about the actual fly rod rental aspect of what they do. They can focus on their shop and the store and everything else, and we can take care of the rental and just outfit their shop. So we're working on a model that would help with that. It's not quite there yet, but we want to partner and be in with fly shops and help them be successful as well.
No, I mean, I think you said it all, Brian. I think that in Asheville, for example, there's several fly shops, but none of them rent equipment. And the main fly shop that we use and we have a good relationship with, they actually at one point in time had rental equipment, but not anymore. And it's can be a headache. It's a liability. We understand that, but because they're not missing out on business, they're actually referring it back to us. And the way we're structured, if a client wants to rent a rod and reel, that gear will, like the reel, will come with fly line already installed on it, but no leaders. And so, the people, our clients, are actually going to need to go to a fly shop, whether they're local here in North Carolina or across the country. And so, we're still going to encourage them to go buy flies, licenses, and leaders and other equipment from their local fly shop. And that's things like that we probably will never deal with. We're not going to carry leaders and things like that. I mean, you should still be able to go to your local fly shop to buy things like that.
Yeah, I like that. That was actually a question I was going to ask you guys, if you're also, this setup is involving leaders and flies for that area specific, or for my fishing specific, if you will. So now I know you guys are relatively a new business, but can you take us back to a time when you early on, or recall a time when you had some failures in your business and how you guys overcame those challenges?
Well, we have been doing this for almost a year. So yeah, we are pretty new in the grand scheme of things. And fortunately, the idea and the concept we solidified has worked really well. the only hiccups that I can think of right now actually would involve like third party, like shipping. And anytime you're dealing with a third party business, like even one of the big name shippers like UPS or FedEx, it's they have a very, very small I'll call mishap rate, and they're incredibly reliable. But one instance, we actually shipped a rod and a reel to a client in San Francisco, and from North Carolina to San Francisco, I think standard shipping was right at about 7 days, and we were kind of down to the wire. And the client needed to leave for his trip. He was going to Wyoming and to fly fish for a week, and he's like, "I'm leaving on a Tuesday. I have to have the rod by that Monday." And there was a train delay or something, and UPS had a marked delay, and it looked like he wasn't going to get his product. And Brian and I had a backup plan. We were going to essentially overnight a rod and reel to him at his destination, but fortunately UPS came through and he got the rod exactly when he needed it. But that's really the only thing I can recall that we've dealt with. But unless I'm missing something, Brian.
Well, and I think the only other thing in that is Dave and I have been really calculated in how we want to grow the business in and of itself, and we're okay with getting going through the process slowly and building it the right way and making sure we can treat each customer correctly and manage it well. Because the fact is, the challenge in this, and I think the reason other people haven't done it before, is that you obviously the inventory, right? So if you have a really high demand and have a bunch of people that want rods at the same time, you have a challenge in the inventory and buying the inventory, and it takes capital and those kind of things. And so we're working through that, but we're also trying to gauge right now in the first year specifically of what are those that people are going to rent more of? Are they doing it more for ocean? Are they doing it more for, and then catering to that in our inventory. And so we have a way that now we feel like we can potentially scale when we get to that point. And just, we really want to build this the right way and make sure all our partners are really happy and we advertise for them, and that, we can provide good quality brands and be committed to those people. And so we're very loyal to them, and we want to support them just as much as they support us and help us. So,
no, I totally agree with that. I agree with everything you guys are saying, and supporting each other and brands is how we make this industry better, right? Through various ways of doing so. So, with that said, what advice would you guys give to any of the Fly Insiders or the audience members who are just starting out or thinking about starting out a company, related to fly fishing within this, based on your experiences and your journey through this time right now?
I would say that the time is right. I mean, there's all kinds of innovative and new ideas that are coming out almost, I would say, daily within the fly fishing community, whether it's a product or an idea, kind of like Brian and I have here. But the community, I feel like, is strong in a lot of ways, and I think we have become what we are today because of a strong community. And it's kind of a funny story about how the stepping stones of creating Rent This Rod kind of fell into place. But social media is an incredibly awesome asset and tool for any business, not just anything fly fishing related, but connections. That's all I can really say. It's kind of get your name out there and start talking with people that could support you or give you a boost, and just network it that way. I think that's what we've done, and we still have more to do, but that's really what's helped us get the name out as much as we have.
I agree. When you say connections and getting your name out there, can you elaborate a bit more on that? Like, where are you guys at socially, on a social platform? Where are you at on a business platform? What brands are you currently working with and building relationships with? So we as listeners can get a bit more insight as to that.
Yeah, well, so I'll answer the first part of that, but as far as social media presence, Instagram for us seems to be the hot ticket, and we do have
it's for everyone.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's easy. You can do it all from your phone, and it's kind of ironic too. You get it's clear to see that Instagram is no longer an Insta specific photo. Like, I mean, people have very much doctored photos on Instagram, and I get it. I mean, it's a business thing. We've done it too, and
Yep.
but it's no longer just taking a quick photo and posting it for the world. It's an actually, very methodical and calculated marketing thing. But so, Instagram being tied to Facebook, it's great too. We do have a Facebook page, but our Instagram following is quite a bit more than Facebook, and I think that's pretty common across the board. But
again, for us as a podcast company, it's the same thing as well. It's all about Instagram. I don't even see any traction. That's comparable from my Facebook page to our Instagram page, right?
Yeah,
it's where it's at. Yeah,
it works, and use it to your advantage. And like I said, it's the ease of it is great, and for me, it's kind of fun because it's a creative outlet. I mean, I like coming up with witty posts, and I love trying to get the right photos. Like, I mean, we had a photo that I posted Monday that got over 260 hits or 60 likes, and that's without promoting it. That's going a long way for us, at this point in the game, which is awesome.
Well, yeah. In regards to the partners, our current partners in brands we have Clutch Fly Rods, we have Thomas & Thomas Fly Rods, and we have Ross Reels. And it's been fun that Dave and I's first call and first conversation with Thomas & Thomas, we got off the phone and we celebrated like little schoolgirls a little bit, because it's fun to dream about something, and that's kind of my advice piece is dream big, start small, scale fast. And we had this dream, and we're like, you know what, we just have to jump. You just have to leap and take the leap of faith and try it. And if it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. But we're sitting here, we love to fly fish, we love the industry, we love being out on the water together, and it's about friendship. There's so much involved with fly fishing in this community, and it's the reason we're all gravitate to it, that we just wanted to be a part of that. And so we said, let's do something where we can be a part of that. So that's kind of my piece of advice there.
No, I hear you. Definitely great brands that you're working with. I know I actually own a few Clutch Fly rods myself, and they're fantastic rods, as well as a fantastic company for sure. So, I just wanted to ask you guys. So, what advice would you guys have for anyone starting out?
I'd say just go for it. I mean, Brian and I were able to start this business pretty much on a dime budget in this essence. I mean, we and if you have a buddy, that's what makes it great too. Brian and I think complement each other really well. We're both gifted at different aspects of this business, and it just we were friends first and foremost, and I guess we always will be. But it's we're able to work this in tandem quite well. And so if you have a buddy that you could see doing something like this with, I would say do it. But otherwise, I'd say take those first steps. I mean, Brian and I, it literally went from, like Brian said, an idea spoken between friends to the next day having a website. And then we essentially, this is kind of a neat little mini story, but Brian and I we bought our first rental fly rod off eBay just to see if this idea would work. And we invested smartly. We actually bought a G. Loomis Asquith, which I may be wrong on this, but it's if it's not the most, it's one of the most expensive production rods that you can buy. And we got like the typical 9'5" weight, and we started with that. And then Brian and I actually put a couple of our personal rods on the website just to see if people would bite. And like I had like a rare Scott fiberglass rod that you don't really see often in rentals, and I think Brian had a couple of Orvis rods, and that were all high end or rare. And that led to I had a very untested contact at Thomas & Thomas, and that turned into a conversation with the CEO. And the next thing we knew, Brian and I were technically in business, and with a great client and a brand like TNT, which is huge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I love it. So, you know what, guys, now that we know a bit about your past, what do you got going forward for us?
Well, I mean, I think we really, in 2019, we are going to step up a little bit on the advertising piece. This obviously, doing things like this, I think you'll probably see a little bit more of that. We were featured in the Drake magazine as well, which was cool. We're going to be doing another one of these with another magazine very shortly, and we're excited about that. we also we do want to bring on more partners, and give the customers options and those kind of things. And so that's coming down the road. Dave and I both have brands that we were loyal to, and I think we have a real selling feature in that space, because a lot of us are loyal to brands. When you catch your first fish on, mine was an Orvis Clearwater fly rod, right? I have this pull to that company because that was the first fish I ever caught on a fly rod. And it's like, it's so for a company, it's like, well, if you get something in somebody's hand and they catch that fish on it, they're going to maybe lean towards that because that was the first fish they ever caught. So I feel like we have the ability to be more mobile in that. And so we've got some partners up our sleeve that we'd like to see down the road. We don't know officially yet because we want to continue to be loyal to the people we have as well. But other than that, we've toyed with even the potential of a membership down the road. So yeah, we're working on that stuff and testing it, and just making sure we make the right steps going forward.
Any franchising coming up in the future, or any plans to move into other countries?
I'd say no franchising at this point, but that'd be kind of a neat thing. But yeah, I mean, and I think I mentioned this early on. I mean, we'll if the customer needs it, we could ship a rod anywhere in the world. We're not so structured to where we can't think outside of our own boxes. But it's a fly rod's not the hardest thing in the world to ship. It's not the easiest thing either. But if a rod's needed in Russia, then we can get it there. But and one thing I would say, we cleared it with the guys ahead of time, so it's okay to announce this. But we actually we have a new partnership with the guys at Tom Morgan Rodsmiths, and nice. We're really excited about that. I mean, if listeners aren't aware of them, Tom Morgan he's passed away unfortunately, but Tom Morgan, the man, was actually once owner at Winston Fly Rods, and he left Winston and started his own fly rod company called Tom Morgan Rodsmiths, and just completely renowned the world over for making like the utmost fly rods. And the company's still in business. It's owned by two guys that are kind of same walk of life as Brian and I, but they're continuing to turn out premium like custom fly rods. And
they're not cheap.
I think they're not. And so we're actually going to be the one of the only, if not the only, options out there for folks to actually rent and or demo a Tom Morgan rod. If folks are looking to buy one, they can actually test one out for a week with us, and we're over the moon to be able to work with those guys just because their reputation is just second to none.
Couldn't agree more. I definitely agree. It's a great announcement, and I'm glad you guys. Thanks for doing that on the show.
Yeah, we're excited.
So, what we always like to ask the guests about how they feel about common myths about the fly fishing industry as a whole.
That's a great question, Greg. I don't know if I had any myths. I grew up fly fishing, and I just kind of it's easy to take something like that for granted. And I do know that there shouldn't be any barriers to entry for something like this. That's a hobby for people. I mean, let's just be honest. It's an incredibly great hobby and a great way. If you can make a living at it, kudos to you. I still think it's a male dominated hobby. That's changing. A lot more women.
It's rapidly changing, actually. I think it's rapidly changing. There's a bigger female presence now than there ever was. So
yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, the more people we talk to and get to know, the more that we see that it's kind of getting closer to that. I guess Orvis came up with the 50-50 kind of thing. They have a 50-50 on the water campaign, and I think it's great to see that. But other than that, I just don't know, man. I mean, there's obviously a lot to be said about public water access, which you don't want to get us started on that. But it's barriers other than that, I think they kind of pale in comparison. I mean, you can go buy a rod and reel at Walmart or any kind of big box store if you really wanted to and get out on the water. It doesn't take much, but which is a good thing. We live in a great part of the world where it's access can be easily had.
Couldn't agree more. Is there anything you guys would change about the industry?
For me personally, one of the reasons I like this concept so much is that it is elevating the access for people. And I think sometimes for whatever reason, people will walk into a fly shop and it can somewhat be intimidating and not and I don't know the reason behind that, but we want there to be no barriers. And I do think the industry itself, like I think with shipping and being more available to customers and having it at their doorstep and looking at it, clicking on a website, I want to try that, let me get it and try it out. There's a reason Amazon is so popular right now, right? And so that's why there's bricks and mortar, there's less and less bricks and mortar, and we really want to be mobile and move with the industry and help, kind of push the industry a little bit to be more accessible, and help companies that have been around for a long time promote their brands. And that's I think the biggest thing for me is really wanting to kind of change that mindset that it only has to be one way.
I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, you guys really are pushing the industry. You've taken a concept, you've changed it, you've done something that no one's doing. I can now order a fly rod or rent a fly rod from my toilet, show up, have it show up in my hotel room on my vacation. Like, you've simplified the whole aspect out of that. And by doing that, you've made it easier, and you've taken the fear out of walking into a fly shop in a foreign city or country or whatever it is, and just made it a lot simpler and easier. Definitely. So, we're at the part here where we have our frequently top 10 questions asked by our listeners. I can ask you guys some questions. We'll start with David. David, how many days a year do you fish?
If I get out once a week, that's pretty good. So what is that? That's maybe, let's say 50 days a year, maybe more.
Brian?
I would say it's about the same, but I try to get out even when I'm on my trips. I'm down in Florida right now, but I'm going to fish twice. So, yeah, I try to get out as much as possible.
Hey guys, what's your best fishing trip?
I've had several, fortunately. Brian and I actually just went to Low Country, South Carolina, right before Christmas, and did a redfish outing, which was pretty epic, just because the fishing was great, and we had a really good guide, and we made the most of some pretty crappy weather early on. But and other than that, I did Ennis, Montana, 2 years ago with my father for a week, and the trout fishing out there is second to none. So.
Yeah, I think the redfish trip for me was awesome because, again, I'm a trout fly fisherman. Like, I've always done it in the mountains, and so legitimately I just want to learn the salt game. And so getting a chance to do that and target a redfish and sight fish, and that was cool for me. And actually, down here in Florida right now, I got to go after some tarpon, had a couple hookups and snapping me off a little bit, but it was just even feel one of those on a fly rod was spectacular. And so I really enjoyed my time doing that. But then again, just honestly, fishing with Dave, may sound cliche, but sometimes during the week, if we get a gap or something like that, we're like, hey, you want to hit the river? And I just love those moments where we get out and just fish together.
I love it. No, that's great, guys. So what's your fly gear setup then?
Brian and I differ a little bit on this, which is great. It's part of the complimentary thing. I'm a huge fiberglass nut. I love fiberglass fly rods. And last year, the rod I reached for more than anything was the new Thomas & Thomas Lodic fly rods. And they had a 7-foot, 10-inch 5-weight. And I fished with that more than any other rod that we have, or I have. And I'm always on the quest for really nice fiberglass rods. That's why I for one, I know Brian is too, but we're both really excited about this, Tom Morgan thing. But fiberglass is what I usually pull for.
For me, I'm a 9-foot 5-weight. I love my 9-foot 5-weight Thomas & Thomas, and then a 9-foot 5-weight Orvis H2, and then I have a 3-weight that's awesome as well for the small stream stuff. And that's an Orvis H2 as well. And I've gotten a little bit into the Euro nymphing type stuff. My brother-in-law is very into it. And so there's a 3-weight Thomas & Thomas that's a really good nymphing rod. So
if you guys just had one fly to put in your fly box, what would it be?
Olive woolly booger.
Yeah, I love that one.
I have this little modified stream. I would echo that. But I have this little modified streamer. It's like a hare's ear streamer. Basically almost looks like a hare's ear nymph with a marabou tail and a little pink head on it. And that thing, no matter where I've gone, Colorado, upper fishing in the lakes up there, to the East Coast, anywhere. If fishing's not good, I put that on, and it seems to work for some reason. So
If you guys could fish with anyone, who would it be with?
Well, if it's if it's not Brian, I mean, I think that I would feel the same way. If it's not Brian, I would probably say my dad.
If it's not, my family's never really been into fly fishing. They don't understand the whole concept. But if it's not Dave, it would be my kids. I'm getting them into it now. I have a about to be 6-year-old, and I've already got him casting, and it's just so much fun to see them learn the process. And I want to get them in, early on, and get them going. And so it'd definitely be my son.
Yeah, you can never start them too early, that's for sure. So, hey guys, what's your fly fishing dream destination or your bucket list spot?
Oh man, Patagonia, anywhere South America would be top of my list.
For me, it's New Zealand. I'd love to get to New Zealand and fish for some giant browns.
Yeah, both wonderful places for sure. Before I let you guys go, do you guys have any sales or specials on products you guys would like to elaborate on right now?
Yeah, so listeners can enjoy 15% off a rod and reel combo rental between now and April 15th, 2019. Just mention Fly Fishing Insider Podcast when you submit an inquiry on the website, and we'll take that off the rental.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes as well. Where can we find you guys?
Yep, our website is www.rentthisrod.com. You can also email us directly anytime at rentthisrod@gmail.com. And we're also on Instagram and Facebook, and Rent This Rod is our handle for both.
Awesome. All right. You guys have been hanging out with David, Brian, and Greg today on the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. All right.